In the small town of Willows Creek, where the whispers of the wind carried tales of mysterious occurrences, there lived an old man named Fred. At the age of 75, he resided on the outskirts of the town, his frail frame barely supporting the weight of the years he carried. But Fred held a secret, a dark and alluring power that granted him the ability to fulfill the deepest desires of those in Willows Creek. Among the townsfolk was a young man named Joshua, aged 30, who harbored ambitious dreams of wealth, beauty, and opulence. His heart craved for a life adorned with riches, a stunning woman by his side, a fancy car, and a mansion that would overshadow all others in Willows Creek. Joshua yearned for a life of excess, oblivious to the price he would pay for his heart's desires. Fred, with his knowing eyes that had seen the passing of decades, sensed Joshua's desires. He approached the young man and sat with him, revealing his ability to make dreams come true in exchange for the most precious currency of all: time. "Joshua," Fred croaked in his aged voice, "I can grant you everything you desire, but the cost will be measured in the years you are willing to trade." Naive and blinded by his ambitions, Joshua agreed without hesitation. 15 years, Fred declared, and Joshua, without giving it much thought, consented. As the month unfolded, Joshua's life transformed into a surreal dream. He possessed the riches he desired, a stunning woman named Cynthia at his side, and the grandest mansion in Willows Creek. But as the days passed, Joshua's youthful vigor began to wane, replaced by the cruel march of time. Cynthia, once enamored by his opulence, left him, unable to bear the sight of a man who aged before her eyes. Desperation clawed at Joshua as he faced the consequences of his impulsive decision. He had aged prematurely, resembling a man in his middle 40s. The riches slipped through his fingers as Cynthia took half of everything and left him with nothing but a shadow of his former dreams. Fred continued his clandestine dealings, amassing years from the unsuspecting residents of Willows Creek. With each wish granted, he grew stronger, accumulating enough time to extend his life for 2 centuries. Little did the townsfolk know that Fred's rejuvenation came at the expense of their stolen years. One day, as Joshua wandered the desolate streets of Willows Creek, he caught sight of Cynthia in the company of a seemingly young man at the cafe. The shocking revelation struck him like a thunderbolt. Fred, the decrepit old man, had found a way to reverse the ravages of time. Approaching Fred's residence, Joshua confronted the rejuvenated man. In a twisted turn of fate, Fred offered Joshua the chance to reclaim his lost youth. Intrigued and desperate, Joshua accepted. Seated in Fred's aging house, Joshua began granting wishes to the unsuspecting residents of Willows Creek. 10 years passed, and Joshua, now 55, had amassed 150 years for himself, hidden away in a wish locked for eternity. There is nothing anyone can do to take away those 150 years that he had accumulated. The townspeople believed he had long left, unaware that Joshua lingered, silently extending his own existence. Cynthia, now aged 55 and haunted by the relentless march of time, sought out Joshua for a wish of her own. Unbeknownst to her, she stood before the man she once scorned. As she requested the restoration of her youth, Joshua, harboring resentment, posed a steep price. "What are you willing to give?" Joshua asked, a gleam of revenge in his eyes. "Anything," Cynthia replied, unaware of the price she was about to pay. 5 years, Joshua demanded, and Cynthia, desperate to regain her lost youth, agreed. As negotiations unfolded, Joshua extracted a more profound toll when Cynthia expressed her desire to claim all the accumulated years he possessed. Driven by desperation, she reluctantly accepted the staggering price of 20 years for this particular wish. Their twisted deal reached its unsettling conclusion with her final desire, to be filthy rich, an aspiration that cost her an additional 2 years. Cynthia walked away believing she had all her wishes come true. But did she really? In the ensuing days, Cynthia awoke to a world of unrelenting agony. Stumbling into the bathroom, she caught sight of her reflection, a visage aged beyond her worst nightmares. The shocking transformation overwhelmed her. She appeared far older than the last time she encountered Joshua. A mirror cruelly revealed the harsh reality of her accelerated aging. The shock and horror proved too much for her frail heart, leading to a fatal heart attack that claimed her life at the age of 82. One day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over Willows Creek, Fred found himself standing before Joshua's doorstep once again. The air felt heavy with unspoken truths, and a sense of anticipation hung in the air. "I've come to you for a reason, Joshua," Fred spoke with a gravity that echoed through the night. "I need to make amends for the years I've taken, the wishes I've claimed. I've grown tired of carrying the weight of borrowed time." Joshua, now aged 65 but still possessing the youthful vigor granted by his locked wish, regarded Fred with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "What brings you here, Fred? Why seek me out now?" Fred, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of countless years, began to unravel the truth. "I made a grave mistake, thinking that stealing years from others would bring me happiness. But it only left me hollow. I watched as others suffered the consequences of their desires, and I realized the true cost of my actions." He continued, "I came here to ask for your help, Joshua. I want to undo the harm I've caused. I want to return the years I took, starting with the ones I stole from you." The sincerity in Fred's voice stirred a flicker of compassion in Joshua's heart. Together, they embarked on a journey to reverse the wishes, to give back the stolen years to the unsuspecting residents of Willows Creek. As each wish was unraveled, and the stolen years were returned to their rightful owners, a transformation swept through the town. The once aging children now embraced the fullness of their lives, and the burden of time lifted from the shoulders of those who had unknowingly paid the price for their desires. In the end, Fred stood before Joshua, the weight of his accumulated years dispersed like morning mist. A sense of redemption filled the air as Fred, now an old man once more, spoke his gratitude. "I came to you, Joshua, because you held the key to granting wishes without taking more than you give. I wanted to learn from someone who understood the true essence of desire and the consequences that come with it." Joshua, having witnessed the transformation of Willows Creek and the redemption of Fred, nodded with a sense of closure. The town, once shrouded in mystery and dark bargains, now embraced a newfound harmony. Every memory of everyone has vanished, with no evidence that anyone can remember what they have gone through, just as if nothing ever happened. As the stars glittered in the night sky, a sense of peace settled over Willows Creek, marking the end of a tale that began with desires and concluded with the restoration of stolen time. A few days later, young Joshua went into a cafe and saw the most beautiful woman he had ever seen sitting at a table. He nervously approached her and introduced himself to her. And she said, "Hello, I am Cynthia."